There's lots of reasons why you might have to take a break from running. Illness, injury, holidays, weather, travel. Regardless of what that is though, getting started back up is not as difficult as you think. So the body is an amazing instrument. It can remember and do things that you've developed over time. The longer you've been running, the easier it will be for your body to run well. In other words, be able to get back into running and not feel like you've lost your form. You develop muscle memory. When you run and you do any kind of exercise, your muscles fire and they send nerve signals to your brain. And the more those nerve signals fire along that nerve path, it kind of gets well trodden, well traveled. And so your muscles and your nerve system remembers how to do that. See, when you take a break, you've got that muscle memory. The longer you've been running, the more your muscles remember how to run well. So that form should not really happen because you take a break. It's kind of like learning to ride a bike. Once you learn how to ride a bike, you develop the muscle memory, and can you ride a bike for the rest of your life. Running's no different. Now, another thing the body does is when you exercise, you get these little nuclei. They're like little protein factories, and they help create muscle mass. And even though you stop exercising, those nuclei stick around. So if you take a break from running and go back at it, you're kind of ahead of the game. You've already got the right equipment in your cells to start building muscle mass and using protein to increase your strength in running. So it's not as big of a setback to take a break as you might think. So for both of these cases, illness or injury, you have to decide when it's okay. Obviously, if you had an injury, you want to be pain-free before you start again. But if you've been sick, when is it okay to start again? For both these conditions, whether illness or injury, you might want to consult with a medical professional because they know the body, they know the illness. You know, when you can start back running from the flu, may be different when you start back running from a common cold. So again, you have to decide that. Again, recommendation, can get medical opinion if necessary, but when you're ready, some of the tips I'm going to share with you will help you. Now, even though we have this muscle memory and we have these little nuclei in here, our bodies do degrade when we take a break. But if you've taken a break for 10 days or less, the changes in like VO2 max are very negligible, almost non-existent. But if you've taken like a 2-week break, your research has kind of suggested that you can lose about 6% of your VO2 max. Push it out to maybe 12 weeks. Now you're talking maybe a 25% reduction in VO2 max. So you do degrade when you take a break. However, you still have that muscle memory, you still have those nuclei in there. So it's not like you're starting from ground zero, but you do have to recognize you've taken a step back, and therefore when you start back up, you just can't start back up where you left off unless it's been a short break, like a week to 10 days. So you've only been off for maybe a week to 10 days and didn't have a severe illness. I guess if you had a severe illness, you probably would be off more than a week to 10 days. But you can pretty much pick up where you left off. But once you get beyond that, you want to think about going back a little bit. Now, one suggestion I have is with your short run. My short runs are typically 30 to 40 minutes. So you can either cut back on your short run time, or my suggestion is do your short run at your long run pace. That's less wear and tear on your body. It's a little easier, especially if you've been sick. You don't want to overstress your body too much. So do your short run at your long run pace. You may still be able to run to 30 to 40 minutes, but it'll be less stressful and less energy depletion on your body. Now, another suggestion is if you do not do run, walk, run, I would encourage you to consider run, walk, run at least while you're coming back from after a break. Again, that's less stressful on your body, less likely to hurt yourself and injure yourself. So if you're not familiar with Run, Walk, Run, I'll put a link, a video at the end of this one to get you started. But again, the name of the game in starting after a break is take it easy. Now, as far as your long runs, how much do you back off? Well, again, there's no rules out there. Obviously, the longer your break, or the reason why you took a break, for example, if you were like sick, you had the flu, or you had an injury, you may want to be very conservative. Maybe you want to do your long run half the distance you were doing. I've been doing long runs at 10 miles. But I've had a break here. We had a really bad snowstorm. We had a lot of rain, had holidays. I haven't run much in the last 2 weeks. I'm not going to go out and do a 10-mile run. I'm going to back off on that. I don't think I'll back off to half. I might back off 75%. I might do 7 or 8 miles. So the less time you're off, or the less, if you're like me, you're just off not because you were sick or injured, but just couldn't get out on the road, maybe back off 25%. But if you've been sick, you've been injured, you might want to think about taking your long runs back almost to half. So you might be asking, how long will it take me to recover from my break or get back to my old training levels? There is a rule of thumb out there that says for every week you took off, you need 2 weeks of training. But again, that's just a rule of thumb. everybody's different. If you were off because of the flu, that's different than just being off because you were traveling. So just use that as a guideline. Don't take that as a hard and fast rule. Use it with a little bit of skepticism, but use it as you see fit. So the message here is a running break will cause you to digress a little bit, depending on how long it is and the reasons. So you want to start a little back in your training. You want to maybe either run slower, run less distance, give your body a chance to catch up, get back to your old levels. Don't want to push it too hard. You don't want to get injured. So I really appreciate you watching. Again, I'm Ralph. This is the Ageless Runner. If you are new here, I'd love to have you subscribe. Please scroll down and hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you stick around. And if you like this video, please scroll down and hit that like icon. Thanks so much for watching, and happy running.